It's fucking crazy to think that we're pulling this from the vault. Like, last night I was getting ready to watch it, and it's like, man, this movie really isn't that old. And look, it's like, fuck, it's almost 10 years old. Shit.
Yeah. Here's the thing as well. I'm seeing of box next week. There's now anniversaries of movies that like hit their 25th anniversaries that I've went to the cinema as an adult to see.
Yeah, and that
And
shit's pretty
that's
disheartening.
you don't mind it when you're a kid. You know what I mean? When you're like seeing anniversaries of movies you watched when you're a kid, you kind of disassociate that. Okay, right. But when you're seeing stuff you actually went out as an adult with friends, went to the pub after and stuff, you're like, oh my god, I'm old.
Yeah.
And that's when it hits home. But in case you haven't figured out, we're talking today about The Witch,
Hell
which is
yeah.
a 2015 folk horror film written and directed by Robert Eggers in his featured directorial debut. Stars Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Ineson, Kate Dickie, Harvey Scrimshaw, Ali Granger, and Lucas Dawson. Set in the 1630s, it follows a Puritan family who encounter forces of evil in the woods beyond their New England farm. I didn't realize this is basically, apart from the director, this is almost an entirely British cast.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it helped with the accents, definitely.
Well, it's still using the Jacobitan language of the sort of era.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bit of a premise, and it's actually impressive because I've watched the interviews with Robert Eggers, the amount of detail he goes into, and he's anal about it. You know, he wants to get it right.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that the cast and crew were going around picking buds off the trees because it was coming into spring when they were filming. And they're actually, their daily thing was they're going to site and they're going through all the trees and picking the buds off to make it look desolate and broken. You're just like, that's another level. And building banks on the side of the river, you know, they're building these pontoons, we're actually sinking into the river while they were carrying out shots. You know, that's some level. This is only made for $4 million.
Which is insane. Because, yeah, like, that's pretty much considered a micro budget at this point.
Yeah, it's amazing how, like, was it movies can't operate now for less than 100 million and they're shit
Mm-hmm.
and they look awful and they look cheap. And we're seeing TV series coming out $1 billion and they look fucking like they're done on a YouTube channel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It just it makes you wonder. Much of this is money laundering and just putting money in people's pockets for not doing very much in a
Oh,
big
yeah,
grift
of
game.
course. I mean, it's Hollywood accounting. That's how it goes.
No, that's shocking. So, just about a premise. This is set, like I said, in the 1630s. William and his start off, see William and his family, they're the main protagonists of the movie. They're being banished from a Puritan colony. This is all set. This is like the Great Migration. So this is primarily after this English Civil War, the rise and fall of Cromwell. Up until that point, this was a turning point for the United Kingdom, as such in the Magna Carta, and the beginning of like Western democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Because before then, we had the Tudors and the Stuarts, the War of the Roses. Basically, every time you got a new king or queen, they were chopping somebody's head off. And it's still, even to this day, the Roman Catholic Church can't accept the fact that the United Kingdom's not under their rule. Like, they still can't get over it. It's mental. Like, theistic religion is poison. You know what I mean? Just
What? Gasp.
I'm a simple-minded chap. If you need to do star jumps 3 times a day to feel glorious and do whatever, crack on. But this need and that's an American term, your truth. I fucking hate it. It's
You and me both.
There's a truth, there's fact, there's other stuff. You know what I mean? But the fact that your way of saying things has to be the only way, and you must impose that on others, is just mental. Like, there's something wrong with you. And the fact you make a business out of it and a career, and you know what I mean, something wrong with you. And that's why we're in the shit we're in today, because this is the whole fallback. But back then, you know what I mean, just constant period of civil war wasn't good. And this is the first. Cromwell is officially Britain's only dictator. It's weird, but and he only reigned for 5 years. But it wasn't even. It was after the English Civil War. He came into power. It was just shit times. and he was a necessary evil. But what you had then was a great migration, because the Puritans just fuck, everyone's like waving them off the boats, like fuck off Puritans, bye, go away, don't care where you sail to.
I
And you
mean,
had
that's fair.
two major sects. You had the Reformists and the Separatists. So the Reformists wanted to spread the Anglican Church, change it, and make it more in their image.
And
And the
then the
Separatists
Separatists, of course, built a droid army.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I remember history.
Absolutely, and it was all a ruse and reused. Roger. Oh, God. To think that's now considered genius. that's considered good storytelling, good dialogue these days.
I mean, considering where we've come, I would have to agree.
Oh man, what a world we live in.
Right.
But this is and these would be classed as right-wing extremists. These are the right-wing extremes, you know, and that's why the rest of the British Isles couldn't wait to kick them the fuck out and just didn't care. Get in a boat, sail off somewhere. Now, if we knew Americans were going to happen, sorry, mate, but would have sunk the ships.
You know what? I'd have been fine with that.
Do you know what? If
then
only
I probably
we
would
could
have
see
just
into the
been
future.
born dark with long hair. Just I would have been much prettier. And, well, probably would have got diabetes a lot sooner. But you know what? Whatever. It's just trade off.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's this is 2 streams in a row. I'm slacking off your country. I'm, like, I'm just waiting for somebody to take a bet. Like, fucking suck it up. We get loads of abuse as well, so it's all part of the fun. But yeah, that was this whole setback and the idea of reinvention. So people were still fresh off the boat, hence the accents. And this was actually based. I don't know, but Eggers actually found a story where, because he couldn't, most people that moved were from Essex, which is like south of England, and most of the cast are from the north of England, and like north-south divide, you know, regional. The north's a harsher climate. It's, you know, it's colder. It's people are rougher. Eggers was actually intimidated by the class, particularly William and Harvey, you know, Emerson, the 2 male actors.
Understandable.
He's like, because they're rough northern towns, and he's like, I'm a soft American, and it scared me. I just thought that was hilarious.
I mean, the dad, he is an intimidating ass character. Like when he starts getting mad or starts screaming or anything, it's fucking terrifying.
But he's actually quite soft, because honestly, that's he's from Yorkshire. He's actually quite, you know, he's an actor. He's actually quite tame. I think the problem is a lot of Americans see the UK as London and London only, and they don't understand about the rest. And I think if you went into like a northern town, you'd shit yourself. It really is piano music, bar fights start, you know. You walk into a bar and it's like, oh, quaint, sawdust. And it's like, no, that was last night's furniture, you know. That's just a sort of place. But also, the endearing fact of really strong family bonds and ties. And if you make a friend of someone, you have a friend for life. They're, you know what I mean, just up north of the country. And that's just the type of people we all are. And we're, you know what I mean, we're all strange little tribes, and we've still got that whole tribal aspect of clans, you know what I mean? That's still prevalent today. London is just the whitewashed metropolitan fluffy like guff. You know, it doesn't even represent outside its own city borders. But that's, you know, it's just funny that the director was intimidated by the cast, even the young boy. He was only like 12 at the time.
That's funny.
I just think it was brilliant. So the movie, I haven't watched this in years, I'll confess. I watched it a few times, but it's just one of those movies that you can go back to and watch over and over again.
It's usually one that I'll revisit at least once a year.
The plot and the pacing are amazing. Like, you are not bored. It's not like a James Wan movie where you're asleep for 45 minutes and then everything happens in the last 10 minutes of the movie. This is just go
It's
the whole
funny
way.
because to me it reminds me of like a Ty West movie, just a lot shorter,
Mm-hmm.
like where the plot is pretty simple. You got a small core cast of characters, and there's really not a whole lot going on, but it just feels like there is, and it's all about the atmosphere and the mood. And then yeah, like the end is just like it hits real fucking fast and leaves you kind of like, well, shit, that was an experience.
Yeah, and one thing when I was watching the cast interviews and stuff, they were saying that if you actually remove the witch from this would be an intense family drama
Mm-hmm.
of
Yeah.
just a family falling apart. So that alone, without the supernatural elements, is gripping.
Mm-hmm.
And then adding the supernatural elements to it just ramped it up, and that's
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really was just the cherry on top. Because yeah, you remove that, and all this is just a story of fucking domestic abuse, pretty much, and like the pure terror that you get from like, um, it's just like she's not a fucking witch, but she's going to die because she's a witch type of thing, and just how her family just turns on her so easily. That's just terrifying.
yeah. But you also see because this obviously kicks off. You see them. They arrive at the clearing. They find the clearing, the plot of land, which looks arable, and them cut a year later. Nothing's working. We see buildings half finished. The crops are not working. They actually bought this is how much preparation. They bought the crops the previous season, so they actually bought the corn
Mm-hmm.
the previous season, kept it in the warehouse so it would rot.
Oh, yeah.
That's some level of detail and preparation
Well, and
for a
that's,
movie.
I mean, that's just the small details that make something like this a classic. Like, this is something that people are going to be talking about, 50 fucking years from now, because it's just so good.
Yeah, and that's and that wasn't I mean, compared to spending $1 million on special effects. Actually, okay, here's a warehouse. We're going to rent it for a year,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a preparation for this movie. Bloody hell, that's forethought. That's thinking good into it. Okay,
Yeah.
what do I need to happen here? So you see these corn stalks, and they're up, and then they're rotten. I think they did maybe one for digging it up for effect, but there was actually real fungus and stuff, and they're rotten.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that level of detail. The cinematography in this is something else.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, this is the first time watching it in 4K, and God, it's one of those stories that actually benefits from the 4K. Because I mean, really, the unsung character of this is the farm and like just the homestead in general. And God, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was actually quite luxurious for a farm at the time. You know what I mean? And in reality, it would have been a shack, but
Oh yeah.
no plot would have happened. So even taking that away, you still have the feeling of this is authentic. It was built. Here's another thing. Apparently, like Eggers refused to use circular saws. So they were all hand cut, the beams and that for the
Shit.
homestead, right? But the circular saw wasn't invented until the 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was cut with a straight saw, so there wouldn't be any sign of the circular cuts. That's just how.
That's
And you see it
just
with his other
fucking
properties
awesome.
as well. You see it now with everything he has done. And I think he's one of these directors, I hope anyway, that's going to pop up now and again. He's not going to do a ton of stuff, but like Nolan, not going to do a ton of stuff, but when he does, it makes an impact.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've seen it with the Lighthouse. I haven't seen it yet, but we're seeing it with the Northman. It's anything he's done is just beautifully shot and authentic to the time period, and leaves an impact. And that's what we need with. That's the whole point of filmography. That's the whole point of
Oh
cinema.
yeah.
It's to leave an impact, emotional impact. So I hope this is his career, that he doesn't do a ton of stuff, but everything he does leaves a statement, and he
Yeah.
doesn't get sucked into that trap and start smelling Hollywood farts. You know what I mean? I think that'll be the end of him.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
Well, I mean,
stay away
God,
from the
like
Hollywood farts.
just the detail that man goes into is insane. Like the title card. that's from a font from a fucking newspaper around the time. And the double V for the W, like, he's like, oh, yeah, no, I saw that in the paper once, so that's what I went with. And it's like, this motherfucker's looking up newspapers from fucking hundreds of years ago just to get a goddamn title.
Yeah, just wanting to get it right. That's
insane.
And the thing is, unlike Sam Raimi, he's actually managed to keep the cast reasonably comfortable and not brutalize them during the process. So that's kind of the difference in styles. He goes into this obsessive detail, but he didn't brutalize the cast, which is nice, I suppose.
I mean, for them, fucking babies.
Yeah. Where you've likes the Sam Raimi because in the same level of detail, but he's like, you are fucked. You may survive this movie, you may not. I don't know. Depends how the way.
Either way, you're going to be immortal after this.
So we'll see him go, and this movie does not wait. You know what I mean? There's no jump scares or creaks or that kind of stuff. The movie's just straight into it. So everything kicks off. Like we'll see it rapidly change the year. We'll see things are in decline anyway. William can't farm. He can't hunt. He can't go out on his own. But the scene that just sets us all off, and was saw in the trailer before the movie even came out, is the scene with Thomason and baby Samuel.
Dude, that shit still gets me. That is one of the scariest moments in cinematic history. And it's not even that scary. Like, it's just the pure despair when it's like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, and the thing that I think I missed the first time I seen it, but because and this is where the upgrade, really makes it. You actually missed the witch running through the woods the first sort of time because it was that dark, and I hate. I watched the Salman series recently, and a bit like Game of Thrones, it's that freaking dark. You're squinting at the screen and turning up the brightness just to see something, and I hate that. Because, I understand darkness being a tool, but when you can't fucking see on the screen, you're like...
Yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. But this time round, you actually catch the witch running through the woods. And the scene with the baby, where it's restored, and...
oh my God, that's just so good.
I missed that, you didn't really get the full impact the first time. On the 4K, when it's actually, in your face, you're like, whoa!
Right. This is... You even get to see all the chunks and shit.
Yeah. You're like, holy shit, this is what happens. This is brutal. Oh, funny was you see the witch's underpants.
Yeah. I was wondering about that. It's like
the modesty. You actually see the modesty pants. You're like, okay.
Yeah. I thought it was just me. I'm like, wait, isn't she supposed to be naked? Huh.
No. You actually see the line of underpants. I'm like, that's the only bit that took me out of the movie. Like, everything else is brilliant, but that just bit, you're like, all right, okay. That's remember I talked about Suspiria, where sometimes the restoration doesn't help the movie. Yeah, that's the only time where maybe, okay, leave that as it is, or rookies, you're giving away the secrets. This is my only complaint about the movie, by the way. So they're done.
Oh yeah,
that was it. I didn't see the witch's bum. I was denied bottom. And then after that, this movie just goes on a steady decline right up until the end. There's no messing about. That's it. The thing is the resentment between Kate and Thomason. That is just done so wonderfully through this. Yeah. She's the head of the family, in a sense. In essence, she runs the family. William's the figurehead, but she runs the family. And she's kind of the beating heart. And the resentment against Thomason for coming into womanhood, and the fact that she was with Samuel when he went missing. That's played beautifully throughout this whole movie. It's the underlying tension. which is quite rightly so. You know what I mean? Fucking losing a kid, like, what the
That's a
hell?
pretty big deal.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, back in those days, I mean, you lost children. It happened.
yeah, but you don't just lose them. You know what I mean? Childbirth and illness and that. You know, when it's something tangible, you can understand. It was a hard life, but just I had the baby 1 second and then it's gone.
Yeah.
What the fuck? You know what I mean? There's no way you're not being suspicious. But then there's no logical reason why, because that was the thing. Up until that point, they were a united, happy family. So even though the farm wasn't doing well, they were still living. There was a togetherness. The twins, you know what I mean, are happy and playing. The wee one, Mercy's creepy as fuck.
Dude, they're both creepy as fuck. Yeah, they're the real villains of this fucking movie.
Absolutely. What I've done here, just broke down scene by scene, you know, the sort of the main points of the thing, because it was just so easy to get lost in this, because there's not a moment where something doesn't happen plot wise, and that's the wonderful thing about it. You know, you're not bored, and you're not strung along, and you're not overwhelmed with stuff either. Which a lot of mistakes
it's like
make now.
so much atmosphere without being overwhelming and like losing anything in it.
Yeah. So, first thing obviously is the William and Caleb hunting scene, and this is where we meet. Now it's funny, we've known Black Phillip established as a character, but he's only Black Phillip because the twins called him Black Phillip. But essentially, we see the first iteration of Black Phillip, and that's in the horror form. I don't understand using the flintlock rifle to go hunting with.
Yeah, no, you're just gonna have splatter.
That didn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna be lucky if you have even a nugget to take home.
The English weapon, okay, and it was still a formidable weapon even up until the 1700s, was the longbow. That was still is like considered the most devastating weapon of medieval times, and that could punch through armor, and it was so easy. And in fact, under English law, so you had to practice 2 hours a week. And it was normally on Sundays after church, so everyone was required by law to practice with a longbow for 2 hours. So anyone arriving in the new world, so to speak, would have been trained with a bow and arrow. So I don't understand why they thought. And then again, maybe it's they were idiots, because we didn't exactly send our best and brightest across. Let's be honest.
Fuck no, it's just like with Australia, you guys are just like, ooh, fuck these people. Let's get them somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we need a prison colony there. There we go. That's the unhospitable land where things trying to kill you. What do you mean they're going to get out one day and want to breed and stuff? What?
Right.
Oh man. But everyone would have been proficient with a bow and arrow at the minimum. Arriving, and these were off the boat. You know, they still have memories of their old life. They're first generation immigrants. So him going around with a flintlock pistol like a moron was ridiculous. And it's sort of sets up. It's not a criticizing of the film. It's his character. This is William's character. This is the flaws in his character. He's a moron. He's up his own arse, religious zealot, but not too much in the way of smarts.
Yeah. Yeah, and he even admits that shit throughout the film.
Yeah, but that was a breaking point at the end, where finally he sees the destruction all around him, but I don't want to jump. You know what I mean? That's the resentment between Kate and Thomason. Kate's resentment of Thomason coming into womanhood, and William's failure as a head of household and a provider are the underlying tensions of this movie. The witch, they just happened to stray under her territory, which was just an added factor. But if she hadn't been in this, like I said, this would have happened anyway.
Yeah, no,
which makes this movie work on so many levels. But yeah, tries to catch it. He gets a flintlock, blows himself in the face.
So good.
And you're just like, you moron.
Yeah.
Even I've been hunting rabbits. You use a 2-2 rifle. You don't use a friggin' thing you go out hunting for deer.
Yeah, you don't use a goddamn cannon.
No, it's Because you don't hit the rabbit right, you don't kill it clean, you spoil the meat anyway. So it becomes pointless.
Yeah.
But anyway, then we get the river scene, because this is still in the aftermath, because Caleb asks his father, why don't you talk about Samuel? And it's like, hush your mouth and pray and blah, 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 you know. And this is the thing about, and this still carried on up until the 80s. And I think the Satanic Panic was what brought it to a head and turned people against religion. And almost had another reformation in the 90s where people just moved away from religion. Problem is, they went too much to the other side. There's always a set of loonies wanting to rule everybody, and this is where we're not now, and the pendulum's going to swing back again. And my concern is that we'll have Puritan types ready to jump in and take over.
Yeah.
When the pendulum swings back, you know.
I mean, shit, that's where we already are over on this side of the pond. It's like fucking terrifying.
You know, I mean, we've seen these people. There's a reason why they failed, and there's a reason why they had to go to war. They exist because religious zealousness, be theistic or otherwise, if you're a zealot and you've just completely tunnel vision to the world and one set of ideas, you're not going to succeed in life.
Yeah.
You can get a gathering, you can, you know what I mean? And the smarter ones that don't really believe what they say can get a gathering and make money. Hence mega churches and organizations and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? There's always a grift to be done. But in life, if that's your tunnel vision outlook, you're not going to succeed. And we're seeing this played out here. So the whole river scene, and this is, I'm trying to think. Do you remember watching the movie Man? I saw that scene with a kid with the adult's voice, or sorry, the adult's face imposed over the top of it. That just came to my mind when Mercy stood up from the edge of the bank.
Yeah.
And
I can see it. Super fucking creepy.
But what was creepier before that, we'll have to talk about it, is Caleb creeping on his sister.
Yeah. Oh man.
Once.
That's like one of the harshest parts of this fucking movie is the underlying sexual tension that he has for his sister. And it's like, whatever. I mean, that's, you know, it's the time period, I guess. That's wasn't unheard of, but
when you isolate yourself, do you know what I mean? I'm convinced this is how the plastic patty came into being. All the shitbags that ran away across the pond, they bred with their siblings and farm animals, and I think that's how you have Irish Americans today. I'm convinced that now. You know what I mean? Don't breed with your sisters and brothers and farm animals. You get Irish Americans.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah, we know the stock that still remained and came from, and we know what's over there. And you're like, something went wrong. What did you do? What did you do? Were you playing incest? Was it the family game you all loved?
Oh God, that's funny.
It's the only explanation. Oh, St. Paddy's Day. I'm Irish. Shut up. But yeah, Caleb creeping on his sister is just like, and that's going to get worse because if you're isolated, where else have you got to go? There was a whole thing where because the actor was only 12, a lot of these scenes had to explain them in different ways, how to do it, and not explaining what actually it was. He wasn't actually allowed to watch this movie when it came out.
Oh, that's fucking great.
He had to wait. Well, he says that, but he probably had a sneak, but he had to wait till it was like available on DVD. But he's 15. It was his 15th birthday present to himself, so he could actually watch the movie.
Oh, that's
and then I think he was a bit like, oh shit, because you know where they can film scenes and use the camera angle. So he made it on a certain look, but didn't obviously he wasn't looking at Thomason at the time. It was just hilarious. So he's creeping on his sister, and then Mercy comes out of the undergrowth. I'm the witch of the woods, and honestly, she looked like that wee kid out of Men. Like she looks about 40 years of age in a child's body.
Yeah,
like just whatever way they did her makeup and stuff, and costume, she's a creepy child.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's part costume, part her as an actor. Like creepy as shit. Like that's the kind of kid that I would fucking drop kick if they like jumped up on me and scared me. Just plain and simple. Like I would not feel bad.
Yeah. She plays her role so well. She's a horrible wee shite. Like
Yeah.
she's the ringleader of the two twins. She's a horrible little fuck. You couldn't like it if you were paid to.
Yeah.
But yeah, she starts going on about the Witch of the Wood and that. And then she has a go at Thomason again about losing Samuel. And this is a bit where Thomason snaps. And this is the underline, you know what I mean? Yes, it was me. Yes, I signed Black Phillip's book. Yes, I offered the babe up. And then that's her undoing. That one moment was all... It was like the Scarlet Letter. If you read that. What was the other one? You know, where they all started shivering and stuff. You know what I mean? This was those times.
Yeah.
This is an evil culture. I will see it now. I've said this before about the SJWs of today. You see it now. They're looking for blood. They're looking for somebody accused. Burn them, burn them. This is just on the right. You know what I mean? This is the same extreme of humanity being played out. And that toxic culture. And we'll just see it being played out today, just in a digital format, but it's still doing harm to people.
Yeah, of course.
And it's fucking wrong. Why don't people learn? Don't do this. Or more importantly, if somebody's getting on like this, don't pay them heed. We're never going to learn as a species, are we?
Like, I just don't understand what's so hard about just minding your own fucking business.
It's emptiness in your own life. If you've got an empty life and you've no purpose, then obviously you're going to look to others. And then if people are succeeding, you're going to be jealous. Do you know what I mean? That's just human nature. But what gets me is the fact the mob, and even this family will see the mob mentality. Like in a small house, one household will see the mob take over. Because they're frustrated. They're looking for something to vent their frustrations. They don't want to look inwardly at their own feelings.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing as well, because Kate's portrayed at a certain age. That was her youngest child. She's not going to have any more. And then the resentment that Thomason's got into womanhood and about to start her own life. You know what I mean? That's all bubbling there and comes out. But yeah, that scene at the river was so important because that sets the tone.
Yeah.
And the mob mentality, and even at a young age, Mercy understands she has a weapon.
Yeah.
Fucking, you know what I mean? That was a... And the witch isn't even... I mean, the witch has appeared once. And the damage has been done. I mean, the witch could not have appeared the rest of this movie, and she's done her damage to this family.
Oh, yeah.
Just unreal. Then we start getting the drama about the missing silver cup. And it goes missing. The thing is, there's nowhere for them to go. There's nowhere for them to take things. Do you know what I mean? So for stuff to go missing, that it just it plays into this whole suspense as well.
Yeah, so that was the thing I never understood. It's like, where would she fucking hide it if she had stole it?
Yeah. And why and do what? Like, even those times, say she took the silver cup and she went herself back to the village, someone would just take it off her and kick her out again.
Right.
Do you mean that's not the way the society worked? This whole idea of you just go alone with a suitcase full of money sort of thing, that wasn't society. These were closely knit communities. And it was all about conformity. And I can understand the necessity of it because harsh climate, setting up brand new, because you're effectively going from the Industrial Revolution back to medieval. I mean, that was the kind of cusp. The Industrial Revolution was just kicking off in the UK. You know, I mean, you were getting the factories, the linen factories, the ironwork. You know, I mean, you were starting to get that shipbuilding. That was the age the British Isles were in, and these guys were effectively going back to medieval existence. So you weren't. She wasn't going to take the cup and do anything with it, but it was another play on the tension and Kate using something again to vent her frustrations at Thomason.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then find out Williams traded it for hunting supplies. He tells Caleb. And then Caleb, sticks up for his father. Later on, they're trying to make amends. They understand they're in a bad place. And this is where the next scene where Thomas and Caleb head out to set traps.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb was already heading out. Was that the second scene where he creeps at his sister?
Yeah. Yeah, that was when because he was waking up early and trying to sneak out.
Yeah. And he stops for a quick gander. You're like, oh, okay, mate. Yeah, so he's going out to set traps. He was going to go out on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thomason goes out with him. And this is where we meet Black Phillip again in her form.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it's more... Because I think the first time might have just been an ordinary rabbit, but they use the same rabbit for both scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's this second time it's definitely Black Phillip.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And definitely leading them. And this things just go mental here.
Mm-hmm.
They took a dog out with them. Black Phillip leads the dog away. The horse just spooks and bolts, and the rain comes down, and just basically the land's saying, "We don't want you here. Go away." Or if you're going to stay, well, guess what? You're getting messed with. You're not going to live peacefully here. That's essentially what's being cried out to them.
Oh
yeah. Everything.
This is the part where if I had to bitch about the movie, this would be my only bitch fit because they get the dog. But
yeah, but
like it makes sense.
Yeah, because it's nothing's getting left, and thankfully we don't see the horse as well because that would have just been too much in that one. But yeah, dog, we see it getting ripped to pieces. Some rabbit, I know rabbits are brutal. Like if you get kicked on and things.
Yeah, I know some of them got real big, sharp teeth.
Yeah, and they get stuck into you. Really aggressive as well. I had one years ago and it was like it would growl at you like a dog. You're like, whoa, calm down. The whole notion of fluffy rabbits is not. I mean,
that's what grenades were developed for. So
that's the holy hand grenade. Oh man, this was just that. But yeah, the horse bolts, takes Thomason with it. Caleb gets separated. Poor dog gets wiped out. And then that's where Caleb encounters the witch in her hovel.
This shit's so goddamn funny. I understand that it's not supposed to be funny, but it's pretty funny. He's like crying, walking up to her, and it's like, come on, man. You know you're gonna die. Just have fun with it.
Yeah, it's just... Do you know what the funny thing with that scene was? They actually hid the older actress under the cloak to do the hand. So they didn't do a prosthetic hand or anything. It was actually the older woman who played the witch originally in the cave scene. They had her head under the cloak so her hand could shoot out.
Oh, that's great.
And that was apparently the young lad's first kiss as well.
Hell yeah, good on him.
And that was an underwear model because the director was saying, I need somebody who'll just do what she's told, not speak, and I won't have to train because apparently models and actors have different training, and if you're a model, you move a certain way. So that's what he wanted. So apparently this woman's like a famous underwear model. So good on you, lad.
Yeah, fucking A. It's a hell of a first kiss, man. I mean, I understand like on-screen kissing is fucking awkward and weird and all that shit, but I mean, still, at least it looks cool, and you're always going to remember it because it's on film. So
if you're going to start, you may as well start high.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Starting high.
Granted, it's all downhill from here, but whatever. At least there's always that.
And then the family's going. Here's a weird little scene. They have the twins tied to the fence with bells on them.
I mean, that's just reasonable. These fuckers are always running away and shit, so
yeah, it's
I totally get it.
You two wee shits are going nowhere. Stay there. So they have the two twins tied to a fence while they're out screaming. Funny how there's that fear that they won't venture into the woods. Do you know what I mean? They still have that reticence to go in there. So even though they're shouting and screaming, I know it's for the shot too, but they still have that reticence to actually go into the woods and look for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's Thomason's the first one to come back. And she's all crying and that, and Kate is not happy to see her.
No, not at all.
I mean, this is where things are getting to the boiling point. Kate's just not happy to see her at all. She's always wishes she had got lost. And that resentment, that just hatred just comes out. You know what I mean? It's not getting held back anymore. Like, just
no. Yeah, the filter is definitely gone at this point.
Yep.
Well, and we even got that the night before they bolted, you know, they're Kate and what's his bucket are fighting, and you know, the kids are all asleep. And I love that they're even yelling, "Hey, are you guys in bed?" Okay, cool. They can't hear us as they're all just sitting around like this.
Yeah, their
with a
eyes
fucking
open,
candle.
going, yep.
Like even the twins are just like silent, not even moving. Yeah, the filter's gone, and this bitch is like, fuck her. I hate her.
Yep. And why do we move here? You know, and blah blah blah. It's just everything just coming out. There's no need for us to live this way, you know, that sort of thing. We're not animals, you know. There's a lot of the whole thing of why.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get Caleb returns, and he's naked. He's in bits. He's naked in the rains. You know what I mean? Just fair play to the wee lad. Like he put himself out for this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because we're seeing like I said, back to medieval times, we're seeing bloodletting poultices being used as healing. All we needed were leeches. You know what I mean? All you had to do was get leeches
right.
as well, and it'd be the whole shebang.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sick, so let's get rid of the white blood cells that are help to heal.
Right. I mean, that's just reasonable. You got to get rid of the sick blood, so the fresh blood can be made or something.
Yeah, from the magical spirit. Just scary time. Honestly, the times I would not like to live in would be medieval times in the British Isles, could just be brutal, or Victorian times, like the height of the industrial age. It's just the two worst parts of history just to live here. You know, just not pleasant. You're essentially, it's a survival game, and you might make it to the end of the ripe old age of 30 if you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
With all your bits, no, not all your bits intact, because that was pretty forgiving. You're going to lose fingers, arms, legs, just living brutal times. Yeah. And he manages to translate this so well in this movie. That these are, you know, not nice times to live in. You're not going to have a comfortable existence. You know why people have this notion now, especially city people, of the white picket fence and the farmstead, and everyone can sustainably grow everything. And everyone has this notion who lives in high-rise apartments, you know, it's so easy to do.
Yeah.
Try growing crops and surviving, and that's your means of survival. All it takes is one turn of the weather, and you're screwed.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's picking on farmers at the moment. And it's like, dude, if it wasn't for farmers, we'd all be dead, grubbing in the dirt, eating each other. It's this movie should highlight that it isn't fluffy and easy just to eke an existence off the land. And there's a reason farming techniques have evolved the way they are, like rotation of crops and everything else. Just there's a reason it's a science. And there's a reason why we're all fat and comfortable and can bitch about things.
Well, and that's the funny thing too, like especially in early like years of America, is that was like the Indians that were cool with the white settlers and shit. That was their whole shtick. It's like, hey man, you guys are gonna die if you don't do it this way. This is how you use this land that's native to us. But they're like, you guys are savages. Fuck that. We know what we're doing. And then, shit like this happens.
The thing is, in the 13 colonies originally, that was always a mindset. That's people say about the butchers apron, the British flag, and fucking British Empire, this and that. The British Empire was the most unique formation because they didn't go in. We didn't go in as if beating people over the head. It was originally trade. It was a trade empire, and that's where it was different. And they would set up a trading outpost and learn, and it would actually put people in charge. You know what I mean? They would have governors from the population and just subtly install the way of law. That's why the Commonwealth still exists. You know what I mean? That's why there's still 52 countries. 60 countries if you include like they're still part of the British Empire out there. There's still crown protectorates. There's still crown dependencies. You don't last that long if you're complete shitbags.
Yeah.
I mean, the Roman Empire's gone, the Persian Empire's gone, the Japanese Empire's gone. You know what I mean? Any other empire, the Turkish Empire's gone. The Ottomans, they're gone. You know what I mean? No trace really of their influence because they were shitbags. That was why the whole thing after independence, things ramped up because, like I said, we didn't send our best and brightest. It was all the fucking loonies.
Yeah.
And of course, the loonies didn't want to play by the rules anymore or be respectful because that's how it works. You don't rule people with the iron fist, and people are going to find out very, very soon here the lunatics that are trying because there is a resentment. And it might take a bit of time, but when it gets there, like I said, the pendulum's going to swing back so hard, it's going to be unreal.
Yeah.
You don't rule with an iron fist because that builds up the hatred, that builds up resentment, that builds up rebellion. And that was the thing. There were the treaty accords between the natives and the 13 colonies. So there was that kind of live and let live sort of thing. But however, you want to, here's a Bible, you know what I mean? Come on, you know you want to. And that was the way, you know what I mean? That's the way it happened. Oh, by the way, you've now got a suit because you're holding this thing. Oh, here's your own plot. You can brutalize your own people. And that's the way the British Empire worked. It was really, really sneaky. And it took people under years to understand, oh, hold on. Are we under... Because it was British rule and law, but it was always imposed by their own. Because they found the right people and promoted them into the thing. It was actually very clever. But then, of course, go kill everybody. And the rest is history. But, where were we? Sorry.
All right, so this is the part where we get
fascinating in the way it's being portrayed. You know, it's just it's fascinating how it all broke down and how things escalated. And people don't really talk about it. And the British Empire was always subtle. And yeah, back to living off the land. You know, it's not easy to do. Farming is not easy. It's a hard life. And I just don't understand these like modern day kids that know nothing about the world, like trying to actually just destroy the foundation of survival. Because this is what you end up with. Yeah, so Caleb returns. The possession scene is the most intense part of this whole movie. The wee guy nailed it. Like,
yeah, creepy as fuck.
No if, buts, or maybe. And I was reading or watching the interviews and stuff, and they're talking about, okay, how do we explain to a 12-year-old he's having an orgasm without telling him he's having an orgasm and fucking his head up?
Yeah, they fucking nailed it.
And it was actually how do you call it? Ralph Ellison, the guy who plays William. He actually he coached youth theater. As well, so he's used to working with kids. So he actually took Harvey under his wing, and that's where he came. Like, think about water dropping on your head and doing this and that, and that's what's happening. So he built a completely different picture in the wee guy's head to act out the scene.
That's impressive
because it was his director's like, right, we need this guy to have an orgasm, but he's only 12, and we'll get fucked for that. You know what I mean? How do we do it? And apparently, that was a whole meeting within a meeting for that scene.
Understandable. That is very understandable.
Oh man, but yeah, that whole speech and everything he gave out, and just his whole lines, the way he delivered them, and arsed himself, and that was it. That was a breaking point for the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? His possession and death scene and the apple. That was it. That's just the breaking point, and this is where this movie just goes intense. Still at the same. It's funny enough. It still carries the same pace, but with a lot more happening.
Yeah.
Like there's not a moment where nothing's happening in this movie. That's the beauty of it, but it still manages to ramp it up without just going bah.
Mm-hmm.
We then see that William's like, okay, right, we're going back to the town in the morning. That's it. We're done. We're going to die out here. We need to go back, beg forgiveness. And the twins, witch, and do the screaming and stuff. It just reminds me of the Scarlet Letter.
Yeah.
The courtroom scene where they all start, the shivering. It just reminds me of that. Just the way the horrible wee bastards get on. And that was part of the culture. Thomason's already planted the seed in William's head that, well, hold on. Mercy's the one said she was the witch. Funny enough, they're the ones talking to the goat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Satan comes in the form of a he beast. All that kind of stuff. They're the ones chanting his name. Who's the witch here?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just spouting logic, but of course that's misunderstood. And
nope, because the
ignored.
mob's formed.
Yeah.
Even in the house, the mob has formed. And they need something. They need a scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Thomason, just because of, like I said, right back to the very beginning, just the whole scene with Samuel. That's it. You know what I mean? You lose a baby. How the fuck do you lose a baby? Just what did you do? Where did you hit over the head with a brick? What? There's still no answer.
Yeah.
Well,
another aspect of this movie, this scene in particular that I really like is you just see the actual, like, the pure dynamic between Kate and, I keep forgetting his fucking name, but the
William?
dad. Yeah, William. God, I don't know why I keep forgetting that. Where he just is finally like, fine, tell me what you want and I will do it. That is all I want to do. And she still can't say anything. It's like, fuck, that's a bleak ass existence and relationship.
Yeah, because there's no I know there's a couple of moments of tenderness, but these are they're not a loving people.
Yeah.
They're a cult. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they were, they were high. Nobody wanted them.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, after Cromwell, that's why we became the fluffy society, because nobody wanted that ever again. I mean, that still resonates today. The whole the rise of Puritans, the burn. You know what I mean? There's still not forgiveness here, believe it or not. This even goes back as far as the Roman Empire, destroying the original tribes here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? There's still that resentment, and then Constantine creating the Church of Rome, and that being imposed. There's still that resentment, about that, and ways of life here, and we'll see it as well with Tolkien creating there was no English folklore. Our folklore, believe it or not, we're cast as the land of myths and fairy tales and legends, but we're not.
Mm-hmm.
Our actual storytelling is quite poor. Our myths and our own legends are actually very scant compared to like European countries or even North America. The legends that came, that were brought.
Mm-hmm.
We're begging out for stuff. That's why Lord of the Rings is the classic it is, because it was the only fantasy at the time built for English folklore. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because you look at Irish fairy tales and it's really bad. Scotland's quite good. Scotland would be the masters of storytelling. Like they've got some great. They're definitely the best in the terms of the British Isles, but the rest of us are all quite poor, and there's that need. But the Puritans were even wanting to drive that spark out completely, and that hurts. You know what I mean? We've talked about it before. We need imagination to live.
Yeah,
that's what takes us from being just grubbing in the dirt to actually building things and making a better life. without imagination, without storytelling, without the freedom of thought and expression just to try ideas out, we're nothing and we're miserable. And we see it with his family. They are not happy. But that's also a reflection of the society at whole.
Yeah,
They're not a
definitely.
happy society. And that's why they get excited. That's why they needed witch burnings.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah, I
was
mean, that's your only fucking entertainment.
that was the fever. And that's when there was a chance, of releasing this pain and putting it onto something else. That's why I don't like theistic religion, because always the point the finger. Aspect to it. Blame something else. Don't deal with the problem, but point the finger. Put your sins onto the goat, onto the witch, onto the other.
Yeah.
And this is played out in this movie. Like there's so much like level and depth here if you actually go into the backstory, and because of Edison and his obsession with detail, he's actually brought that into this movie. So you can look at it superficially as a horror story, but it's not. And there's more. It is a horror story, but it's so much more, and it's actually
it's almost
horror.
more of a fucking history piece than anything else.
Yeah, and a look on society in that time and how it got there. And it's good to know history and how you get to that point, because the whole point of knowing history is that you don't repeat it or you learn from mistakes. But in the age of information, everyone's stupid for some reason. It's just mental. So we get this point, it's all coming to a crescendo, starting to ramp up towards the end. The twins are locked in with Thomason into the goat shed. That scene of, well, are you a witch? No, are you? No.
Yeah. It's like, God, you guys fucked up. Oh, sorry. I guess this is what happens now.
Yeah, now we're going to go back and get tried in the village. You know what I mean? And where one of us is gracing the stake. We haven't talked about Charlie, the goat. Apparently, he was the biggest diva on set.
I'd imagine.
They could not get him to do anything. And he hated Ralph, the guy that plays William. Utterly detested him. So the only way to get the goat riled up was to actually put Ralph with him, and the goat would be like, I'm going to have you. The guy had to go to hospital 3 times.
Fuck.
Because the goat had him.
That's funny as shit.
And where the filming location was actually really isolated. It was a small village, and they actually got to know him in the A&E department. Oh, the goat again? Yes.
Oh, that's great.
It was just and apparently the scenes with the goat had to be so sparse because the goat was just like, fuck yeah, I'm not playing. But he was the best looking goat for the the purpose of the movie. But he just would not play ball, and they had the CG out all the handlers. There's like 3 people holding him to hold him still. And the green suits.
That's great.
Because apparently this goat was just an arsehole. It was just the fact he's sitting there and that scene in the when they're locked up, and he's just like, "Meh, fuck yous, I don't care." And just that look on his face of, "Meh, I'm gonna do what I want." Apparently, he got up and just fucked off. Just wouldn't play ball for that scene whatsoever, and just the drama of the goat was unreal.
I mean, that's what it's always like. I always hear with behind the scenes interviews. It's like the 2 worst kinds of actors are children actors and animal actors, because you just can't do shit with them.
They don't care. Apparently, the Weekhead as well. The what was his? Because he's a bit of a bit part, you know what I mean? Because Mercy's like the main character. But she was like 11 and he was only like 6. But apparently he was chewing sweets, like hard candies and stuff for scenes. And had to actually go and hook it out of his mouth because he's just been a wee dick.
That's funny.
So the 2 worst actors were the Weekhead and the goat.
I mean, it sounds about right.
We'll see William finally fall and confess, prayer, and I fucked up. I'm an arsehole. I was a pig-headed. Just get us out of this, please. He just finally breaks. He realizes they're done. They're heading back to the village. They're going to just beg forgiveness and, just be done. That's the plan. And toast Thomason up because somebody has to die.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen. She's going to be tried for a witch, and I don't know if they still burned him then or they're doing the thing in the river. But just, you know what I mean, her future's bleak anyway.
Yeah. Well, and with colonial America, it was actually more common for them to be hung than burned because of resources.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you know what I mean, but she's done it for a good end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, she's definitely done.
Yep, she's done. So you can kind of see that realization coming into her head too.
Mm-hmm.
But the scene with the Raven,
that shit, man, it's still so goddamn creepy.
apparently as well. They're all like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna have a wee birdie, you know, sitting on my shoulder," and they didn't realize what ravens are
Mm-hmm.
because none of the cast. So this birds are arseholes. They're just like birds are like. That's why I love them because they're just like, "Fuck you, I don't care."
Yeah.
You don't train a bird. You kind of convince it to do things because it wants to, and if it doesn't want to, you don't.
Yeah.
I have two, and they're freaking arseholes. They don't give a shit. That's what started Sparky off my bird. He just freaked. You know, he's like, "There's another bird here. I'm not having that." He tried to summon Black Velvet, put it up on the channel. Fucking, he went mental from this point onwards.
Oh, that's
I had to
funny.
pause the movie about 3 times. But yeah, this Raven in a box, it was like, "Get me out of this. What am I in a box for?" And while that scene was happening, all the cast were like hiding against the walls, going, "I'm not getting near that." So the scene is basically Kate has a vision that Caleb and Samuel return and hands over Samuel, and she's nursing and suckling him, and then it translates this scene where and that was the thing because they couldn't get the bird was just like ready to take her face off, even though it was had a raven master and was being trained, and she just broke down, just go with it, just laugh because they couldn't. They were trying to have her cooing while the bird's pecking, but she couldn't because the bird would just fuck you. Apparently, that was a steel breastplate.
I would hope so.
It was prosthetic breast, but it was actually steel, and the bird was actually near getting through it.
Mm-hmm.
Like punching through the steel, and the prosthetic nipples all got torn off, and you know, I mean, it was just getting ripped to shreds.
Yeah, I would imagine because it's like that's practical. That's real. That bird is really going to town.
Yep. The CG. I was on it's a JS, but the CG bit out, but still, she was like sitting there going, "I'm going to get my face taken off here. If I make a wrong move, I'm a goner." The crew are like, "We can do nothing. You're on your own. You're on your own. I'm not getting involved." But I think that was the next most intense scene. Just it was so quick.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's subtle too, but it's like that's clearly Black Phillip trying to get her to come over to his side, like with the speech patterns and everything, and even at the very end, right before we see the bird pecking at her chest, is oh, just sign your name in the book. It's good. You can see it. You're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that's it. And then that's the nighttime. Then we'll go to morning again.
Yeah.
This is where it just kicks off. This is it. Sorry, the witches land as well. The witch lands into the goat house. We forgot that bit.
Yeah, it's such a creepy ass.
It just happens all at once.
Too.
You know what I mean? This is where this is the most intense part of the movie, where a lot of things happening at once.
Yeah, because I mean, this is all in the same scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like William's praying, Kate gets fucked up, and then you just hear scampering around the hut that's barred up, and then everybody's looking around like, what the fuck was that? And then, oh hey, there's a naked old lady chomping on a goat.
Yep, and then boom, we get to the morning. William wakes up just as if all bleary-eyed. He looks as if he's going outside to take a piss. Actually, he just had that sort of look in his face.
Yeah.
And Kate's like giving him the evil eyes, pretending to be asleep, and blood. I mean, it's like it really was like the aftermath of a really bad party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, who hasn't been there?
Yeah, we all have. But yeah, he goes out, and then the realization that the goat house is just demolished. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely destroyed. And the only person left is, because we didn't see the twins get taken or what happened to them. They just vanish.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's just a complete mess. And Thomas is just lying there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Fucking.
Yep, clearly it was her.
And then William, that's it. He gets swatted. Black Phillip's just like, I'm having you. They had to do that scene a couple of times. Like I said, he'd already been gored, so that the goat didn't have to act because he just hated that actor. Apparently, just took an instant dislike to him and went, "Yeah, I'm having you." So that bit didn't have to be acted out. That's what he's been doing the whole movie.
Yeah, it's like, this is my shining moment. I got this, guys.
Yeah, let me at him, doink. They had to redo that scene with the whole logs falling a couple of times, so that must have been a pain in the arse. They had to set that up about 3 or 4 times to get it right. So, yeah, like practical, like that would have done now CGI. You know what I mean? And looked awful.
Mm-hmm.
Just brilliant. You know what I mean? Black Phillip takes William out, no A's, and then Kate. This is the final like confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
Kate's just like, "I'm killing you."
Yeah.
Just
yeah, there was definitely no holding back.
Utter hatred and venom. And the bit where she cuts, she cuts her with a blade and she's just bleeding the blood into her face, like real crazy type serial killer type stuff.
Mm.
Like it was just this is brutal. I mean, knew that was coming between these 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much set up from the fucking beginning of the movie.
Yeah, from the scene Samuel went missing, you just knew it was going to be this. And that's it. They're just fighting each other, and Thomason wins, obviously, kills her.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, after that, you're like, what the fuck now? Because there's no way she could go back
mm-hmm.
to the plantation.
Yeah, no, there's no way.
The place is in absolute ruins. By her family, but that's it. She's just like, I guess I'm stuffed. So she just, pure exhaustion, takes off her outer shift, puts a blanket around her and falls asleep. Just, I could picture that because of I could picture the emotional exhaustion. I don't know if you've ever been in that state where you've been through the mill bit, you've pushed yourself, and you just come back and you're just like, nah, done. You're right.
Yeah, no, been there before.
No, I've done that. I could just totally see that. Just falling asleep on the bench or where you are, and just be like, the brain just shuts off. Just like, nah, that's enough for me. I'm out for a while.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, no, been there. It's like you have just enough motivation to take off your shoes, and then it's just sort of like, all right, wherever I fall, that's where I fall.
Yeah, done. So that was a brilliantly done scene because it just showed her, like, she had no more processing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the end. So the natural thing for the body to do is just to get, just to clonk out.
Oh yeah.
Brilliantly done. And then the final scene, actually, this is the most tender scene in the whole movie.
It really is.
It's not it was actually almost, thank goodness Black Phillip's here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It was almost
because I mean that's really, again, all this is just the fall of somebody who just wants to be good, and everybody just wants to shit on her, and just her, an hour and a half of just pure despair and misery, and this is finally where she gets to just exist.
Yep, and Black Phillip comes to her. Now, apparently, he was apparently they went really into detail with his costume, and it really went to town, build him up as a cavalier, like all like feather boas and done, but you don't see a bit of it.
Actually, with his 4K version, like you
see a bit, but you don't get the full splendor of.
Well, and I think honestly that can make a movie. Like a great example is Digging Up the Marrow.
But they could have done him with a cloak. What I'm trying to say is the amount of detail just for that scene they went into, and these clothes were all hand stitched, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
The hand stitching, they didn't do them by machine, so they actually went and used the same materials and hand stitched the clothing. So this was done as well. They went full into the detail of a character, but you don't see it. It's just hinted at. It just kind of shows the love and attention that's went into making this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Black Phillip is human incarnation, because you see him transform from the goat, step from the hooves into the boots, just briefly, and he's just like, your battle's done. You know, do you want to live deliciously? That's become an iconic line now.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
In cinema. You know what I mean? Even if you've never seen this movie, you'll have heard that term. If that gets brought up, you'll be like, oh, the wit. You know what I mean? It's just become synonymous with this movie and the impact it's had. But he's just like, your battle's done. Just come with me. What else is there for you? And then the final bit, the final bit of this scene, where, do you see my book in front of you? Yes. And then she's like, I can't write.
Yeah, the one last final bit of despair. She wants it, and she can't do it. And I'll guide your hand. And it's like, he's the real hero of this movie.
Absolutely, because what has she? You know what I mean? What has she got? And he could have, if this was like, I understand the, you know, unbaptized. That was the whole thing about unbaptized babies. You know, they're like a beacon for witches because they can use them in their craft and stuff, so they can fly. But what has she got left? You know what I mean? They could have just left them. You know what I mean? Black Phillip could have just left her. There's already enough witches. You know, this is another witch's territory. She could have just been left to rot, and that would have been evil. But no, you've come through. It's almost like she's been tested.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
It's almost reverse. The reverse of Christianity, if that makes sense. In a sense.
Well, yeah, it's like this was him testing her to see if she was worthy of being a part of his coven.
Yeah. This is almost like the reverse, you know, the infernal glory, so to speak. You know, you've been proved worthy. I want you.
Yeah.
And then that last bit where I can't write, you know, and she almost thought she was going to lose her chance. You know what I mean? It was brilliant. It was so beautifully done. It was so tender. The only part of actual true tender love in this whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then the final scene, she just, you know, sheds her clothes. She's walking to the clearing. And that was the thing. I couldn't apparently use Japanese kabuto dancing. That's what the witches were doing. Because they couldn't find anything to give off the sort of the right vibe. And they actually used Japanese kabuto dancing for that scene where the witches are all around the fire.
That makes sense.
They're carrying out. So bloody hell, it worked.
Yeah,
and then they used Enochian, you know what I mean? So they used the Enochian language on top of Japanese kabuto dancing. I just thought, look at that. Who the hell thinks of that?
Right.
You know what I mean? You see writers today and they're like, where this guy's going, it's not right. I need to find the right combination. Do you know what I mean? That's intense. And that's why you make a movie, even if he only made one movie in his life, this movie's going to be around forever.
Right.
But yeah, they're carrying out the dance. They're going into the air. Final scene, Thomason just gives herself. You know, gives herself into it and just joy and rapture. And joins him. Absolutely. I can't, and people say this movie's overrated.
And those people are fucking idiots. They must have had a really bad childhood or something.
And you know me, am I the type to gush in movies?
No.
I jump with no fucking trend.
Yeah.
In fact, if people are gushed about a movie, I'm likely to go, fuck you, I'm not watching it. Because if you look at the post, you're like, you're idiots. And if you're liking this, I'm not gonna. You know? This is a genuine, brilliant masterpiece of a movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's done in so many levels. Like, even superficially, this is a brilliant movie. It's a well-written script. It's well-paced. It uses the effects to the maximum without being cheesy or ham-fisted.
Yeah.
but then the subtle layers underneath of the interplay and the drama and the acting. These guys all pull it. Just the, you know, where you get the things aren't the sum of their parts. None of this works in isolation. You know, I mean, it's the combination. Got the right people, the right chemistry, the right director, the right locations, just the right mindset to make this. And the fact that they worked as a team. There's one diva, and that was the goat.
Yeah.
And that was it. You know what I mean? The only diva on set was the goat. The Raven was just a psycho. But all birds are. That's why they're amazing, because they don't give a shit.
Right. Like, that's why everybody likes birds, because they're fucking crazy, and they're the wild card.
Yep. Yeah, I can't say highly enough of this movie. If you have not seen this movie, what's wrong with you? What are you doing?
Pretty much. Like, this is just, it's the perfect film. Like, there's no two ways about it. It's just every aspect of this is just so beautifully done. And again, it's gonna hold up the test of time. Like, I could honestly see this being up there with like the Universal monsters. Just period.
I think it's in that same vein and love.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? The Hammer horror movies and that, you know what I mean? It's just that sort of love of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And I like Emerson, and he's one of these. I think he's one of these people that actually genuinely loves his craft.
Mm-hmm.
And I look for. I want to see The Northman, but I don't think it's strictly horror, so we'll probably not cover it in the show. But I do want to see it. It's come out on Blu-ray, so I want to check it out. But it just seems to me he brings that level of intensity to every movie he creates.
Yeah,
which is not a bad thing. You know, we need that.
Mm-hmm.
We need people that actually aren't making movies by committee.
Yeah, which I mean is so hard.
Are trusted to produce the goods and get on with their work, and aren't trying to beat you over the head with messages. Everything's went the, you know what I mean? And we've talked about it, but it's just everything's went the ratchet because you've got lesser people in positions they shouldn't be in.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're gatekeeping. I mean, they understand that their world's crumbling. People aren't going to watch their movies. People are fighting back. So that's what this whole name calling and shit's happening, because they know they're being caught out as being shit.
Yeah.
Essentially. But that's fine. These people will finally fade away. It's a trend. And like all trends, will come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
And these morons will fade away to the background. And the likes of this movie will continue. And when you can watch it the second, the third, you can go through it again. When I tell you how bad I was. I watched the movie and then the movie commentary, like straight after.
Dude, I wasn't bored. I almost did last night too. Well, and that's
I wasn't
the thing.
Bored.
That's the shit about physical media that I like. It terrifies me because like Disney's trying to phase out physical media, which I mean, of course, it'll never be gone. Like there'll still be boutique companies that release physical media. I mean, it's just like fucking VHS. Like there are still companies putting out VHS tapes. Like that is, for all intents and purposes, a dead media. But yeah, you don't get that kind of shit with streaming. I mean, occasionally there might be a big release or, you know, big for the company where there's a commentary track. But like that is, I mean, that's some of the most important aspects, at least for me growing up with movies, was being able to watch the special features, getting the, you know, little behind the scenes peek. And if physical media is gone, how the fuck are we going to get that?
And it's owning something as well. You know, it's having your collection. It's part of your furniture. You know what I mean? It's not. It serves two purposes. Like a bookshelf. A bookshelf isn't just a repository to read. It's a collection. It's art. Because you know the spines and the way you lay out your bookshelf and that's part of the same as you lay out your DVD, your Blu-ray cabinet, where you have your collections. I'm spending too much money at the moment. I need to wind my neck in. I've just got into the Steelbook fucking bug. Caught it.
Oh fuck, dude! I'm sorry, man.
And I'm like, these things are amazing. Must have them all. Oh shit! I've got to like pay rent and stuff and eat, and I
I
can eat
mean,
less.
do
I
you
can do with eating
really
less.
need to
I
eat
could lose a
though?
chin or two. That's okay. I mean, if it comes to choice between the new, a limited edition release now and a few extra burgers during the week, nah, I can go hungry.
Yeah.
But I think what it is, I've been thinking about this a lot. Streaming started off as a fantastic idea.
Mm-hmm.
It started off as an archive, but it hurt TV. It really took a bite out of the TV because people were sick of TV. I hate TV. I
Mm-hmm.
hate TV shows. That's why I don't watch a lot and don't catch up with stuff because I just hate the whole TV formula. The problem is, as streaming got bigger, people started jumping ship. So you've got TV people coming across into the streaming platforms, and they're bringing that mentality with them. And then the streaming services are all, oh, we must make our own programs. So they're by de facto becoming TV channels.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not learning why people moved from TV to streaming in the first place. And now we're seeing this with streaming is becoming the thing it hate or it replaced. And the bubble's gonna burst.
Mm-hmm.
Because the audience, while the normies and the majority of the audience will go along for a time being, the bubble bursts. The discerning customer realize what they want and they'll just move away to the next thing. And I see a resurgence in collectors' pieces. I see a resurgence in physical media. We'll see it with LPs and records.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to come back because people are fed up with that. They're fed up with paying subscriptions. You just get shite.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Well, and especially because like you fall in love with something on a streaming service, and then with no fanfare, no announcement or anything, their licensing expires, and then poof, it's gone. Like that's
mm-hmm.
it.
We'll see it with so many franchises. Ash versus Evil Dead is a perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
And Netflix is the worst for taking. There's a supermarket back here, and they do the same dirty practices. Where if you buy a plot, that means your competitor can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll actually buy plots of land so their competitors can't build on it. And they'll put wash stores that don't make money just so their competitors can't do business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same with the streaming services. They're banned properties so their competitors can't make anything. And they'll be contractually obliged to make one season, and then they'll just bin it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm all for free market capitalism. I'm all for people making money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for people doing the best, but do it by making the best product, not by shitty practices.
Yeah.
If you're making your money by being a dirtbag, it's only going to come around because you're setting that culture, and eventually someone's coming up behind you, a bit quicker witted, a bit more ruthless, and you're going to fall by that sword. And that's the way we're seeing streaming bubble is about to burst because it's just went the same way as TV, and they haven't learned the mistakes. It's the same as here. This story's a lesson. This story's telling you a lesson of the time and the culture, and where not to go back to. And people haven't learned it.
No, history always fucking repeats itself.
Yep, because people don't learn the lessons, and then we're seeing modern day book burning.
Mm-hmm.
We learned from medieval times, this time period, that book burning only emboldened people.
Oh yeah, of course.
And you tell people forbidden the original sin, so to speak, in the Christian mythology of the forbidden fruit of knowledge. It just makes it more tempting.
Fuck yeah, it does.
Once you tell people you're not allowed that because you'll know things, all want it now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're just seeing the cycle repeat in modern times. It's just fun. It's just funny as a species, we'll get to a certain level, and then we just seem to regress.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, we saw it like the Roman Empire, just pre-Roman Empire, like the Greek philosophers, and that would reach a point of that of enlightenment, so to speak, and then we just fall back down to clubbing each other over the head.
Oh, of course.
And we're at that point now. In the 90s, I would say the 90s is our modern version of that, of reaching a point of enlightenment, of understanding and acceptance and brotherhood and sisterhood, you know what I mean, of just getting on with each other. And now we're back to clubbing each other over the head again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny the way we go through that. And this movie just shows that back in that time, and we're seeing it happening now, and it's just like, come on,
Definitely.
guys. When there's problems in life, look inward first. That's the lesson. What am I doing wrong? Why are things not working? How do I make it better? That's the ultimate question. And if you don't do that, you're fucked. That's why you start finger pointing and fucking looking for scapegoats.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we end the philosophy session. But I just want more movies that just make me feel for a start, and not just disgust. You know what I mean? I just want to have a feeling. I want investment in the characters and what happens to them. It's not much to ask for, is it?
I mean, these days, yeah, it is.
Yeah. You don't have to spend lots of money. You just have to have a vision and a work ethic. Anyway, shall we wrap it up there?
I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, I think that was all good. There you go. A positive episode. We both like the same movie and both agreed. It happens. It does happen.
Yeah, mark this day down in history as one of the few times.
Yep, but that's
100% agree on a movie.
Hey, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, follow us on our social media. Keep up to date with plenty more live streams planned for the rest of the month and next month, and carrying on. And don't forget our other episodes that are out. And until next time, folks, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.